Hello, my loves. So, bear with me. I'm a little bit drowsy after my medication for my back shoulder thing. But pretty much, welcome to week 8 of a Broad and a Brit's weekly design series. So this week, it's kind of broad, but it's something that I feel like is useful. And I'm sure many people who do a lot of DIY projects probably do this on their own, but it's just a good way to kind of have step-by-step plans. So it's basically how to choose the correct design plan for each room. And when I say correct, there's like a lot of air quotes because I do really believe that, one decision can be great for a certain amount of time and then you can kind of decide to use the space differently or go in a complete different direction. I always love kind of mixing it up and doing something new. So this is for, even the smallest projects to the biggest ones. I say we probably did this for the upstairs, some of the rooms that we redid up there. And we are currently doing that for our mudroom extravaganza, which has been a years long project. Sorry, time is just so crazy with COVID. But yes, we took out the washer and dryer that used to be in our mudroom and moved them into the pantry, moved the pantry somewhere else. So we always knew what we wanted to do with that space, but through time and using the space once the washer and dryer were no longer in there, we kind of fluctuated through the plan. It's kind of changed. So that could be a tip in itself. Just kind of go with the flow. Oh, I have that on here. So I guess the first thing is to really find inspiration. Whether you're doing this just by yourself or with a partner or for a designer or a decorator and anything, it's so great to be able to go through images, make a board or a Pinterest board, or just kind of have things that you love to work from. And then also it's really important to brainstorm and to really think about how you use that space, what your plan is for the future, maybe to, if it's a new space that you've just moved into, definitely try to live in it for a little bit because you might use it differently than you expect to. And then also just really be aware of planning out steps, knowing how you want the project to progress and what the best solution is for how to progress through those steps. We usually find that we take one step and we have to take 2 steps back because we realize something that we didn't expect happened, such as our floorboards not being level or whatnot, that we have to take care of that so it's fixed properly to then continue to do all the design work. So kind of tip number 1 would be really take your time with finding inspiration. Kind of go out of your comfort zone to look at stuff that you might not necessarily choose, just to see how that would feel in the space. Then tip number 2, sorry, random fly that just came in there. Tip number 2 would be to stay within your color palette or decide a color palette. Definitely would say that when you're deciding on a design project. And then to try to narrow all your decisions within that color palette. Then this is something that Matt and I love to do, which is brainstorm every idea that comes up. Even if you think it's something that you'd never do, just try to imagine or draw it out or see what that would really look like. So that you can make sure that you covered as many different things as you can before making final decisions. Then another thing that some people people hesitate to talk about that I think is really important is budget. I mean, whether it's $200 or thousands of dollars, everybody has a budget that's relative to them and what they are comfortable with. And so just be aware of that budget and try to stay in it. Be creative with how you can, such as thrifting or DIY or whatnot, and then knowing what you can splurge on and should splurge on. That would be a whole different video in itself, one that Matt would definitely be one to be a part of, because there are some things that you should definitely invest in, and things that you can kind of, you know, choose a lesser variety of. Then price things out so you know your budget, then price everything out. See, the fly just went in front of the screen. So then price things out. So that way, if you're doing like a long haul project, you can know your budget, price things out, and be able to chip away at it, as opposed to having this lump sum. So you want to be able to know how much you can spend each week on that. I am kind of a person that I would rather know how much we can spend each week as opposed to saving up, just because I get too, I don't know, I want to do it. So like saving up is hard for me because I would just rather do like increments and feel like I'm getting some kind of accomplishment every week. And then kind of create your steps of how you want to do that particular project. So for like our mudroom, we decided to move the washer and dryer, and then we found that there was an issue with the door and some leakage, so we had to like add that step in, and that added lots of different other steps. And then you want to make sure that you're fixing the issue properly so that it doesn't happen again, so that all the work and time and effort that you're putting into it is not going to have to be redone in a year or less. And then another thing that I mentioned before is just kind of go with the flow. If you're in the middle of the project and you feel really pulled to a different way than what you were expecting, I always recommend going with it. Even though I'm very much a plan person, I like being able to have the freedom to go with something that I feel really pulled with. And that's kind of just listening to your heart and understanding whether it's just in that moment or something that's worth jumping for. So that's kind of just a broad way that we kind of choose our design. And, you know, we, along with color palettes, like design aesthetic, which way you want to go, that would be something to really consider and lock in before you do any of the project itself. And definitely have inspiration, so that you can refer back to that, because I think that for myself, I feel like I like lots of different styles, which is why we have an eclectic house, and so does Matt. And so we can easily get off. Sorry, cat just ran down the stairs. So we can easily get off of, yeah, that's really funny that I was talking about that. You can easily get off of the track that you kind of put yourself on. And so, yes, you want to go with the flow, but if you have this particular design style that you're going with, and you've made all these decisions around it, and you're halfway done, and then all of a sudden you feel like you want to do something else, or you're pulling something in that doesn't go with that design aesthetic, or like really clashes or whatnot, I wouldn't go with that kind of flow. I mean, like, go with a different flow if you all of a sudden feel like you're going with a different color or something like that, because you do want to try to stay focused in the kind of, what would be the word, design plan that you've already created. So I feel like I just contradicted everything I just said, but I think it makes sense. So go with the flow within your design decisions, but make sure that if you easily get distracted or easily love lots of different kinds of designs, to really use your inspiration and your design plan that you've created to keep you within those decisions. Yeah, I think that's good. That sounds good, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this valuable, and have a great day.